to the numbers that it was anticipated to perform to, correct?
Well, the overall ridership is less than we had anticipated. That is correct.
It's my understanding that because the ridership is so low, that we subsidize it annually to the tune of about $10 million.
Again, I'm checking that fact. Certainly the ridership and therefore the revenue is less than what we have projected.
So, but if that number does pan out and it's $10 million and it's been in operation since 2002, so we've basically sunk another $100 million on top of that $1 billion we first paid for in building it out, right? More or less?
Obviously, we have expended every day that passes. We spend money on running the Sheppard subway. Equally, we pull money in from revenue.
So, given what you know today, some 15, 16, 17 years after you made the decision, or Metro Council made the decision to build that Sheppard subway, if you knew then what you know today, would you have still proceeded with the construction of the current Sheppard subway?
Well, we would have taken Council's direction on whether or not to proceed with that construction.
But barring the political decision, from a technical perspective, knowing what you know today in terms of what it has delivered in terms of ridership, what it has delivered in terms of jobs, both for the North York Centre and beyond, given what it's cost you to subsidize to run, given all of those things, what would you have told the Metro Council of back then?
Well, I mean, I think it's easy to be wise with hindsight, but our recommendations are always based upon projected ridership and projected revenue. So certainly the line hasn't met the threshold that we would normally have applied to subway construction, but there would have been a number of other factors we'd have taken into consideration.
And all of the other information that you've looked at basically seems to suggest that even if you continued it from Don Mills to Scarborough Town Centre, it would still continue to underperform as a subway.
Well, the projected figures are less than the threshold that we would normally apply to a construction.
So you would be here telling us, if we asked for your advice, saying to us, don't do it because it doesn't meet our numbers, it doesn't meet our tests, do something else.
On the basis of the pure projection of numbers, it's true to say that wouldn't meet the projection that we would anticipate, but we would take other factors into consideration.
Perfect. Moving on, I just want to dispel a myth that was created a little earlier by one of the councillors. The suggestion has been made on Finch Avenue that the Emery Village BIA tankers serving the Emery Village BIA would be prohibited from making left turns into any driveway along the stretch of Finch that runs through the BIA from Highway 400 to Millvan Road. It's my understanding that at Arrow and Signet, Weston, Millvan, you have signalized intersections and full left turns would be permitted. Isn't that in fact the case?
Yes, my understanding is that at those signalized intersections you can still make a left turn.
So there is no driveway that you would be that a tanker would be prevented from entering and making a left, coming off the 400 and running through the entire Emery Village BIA.
Well, that's certainly the advice I've been given from my traffic expert.
So the impression that was created earlier would be misleading.
Overall, I wasn't paying attention, Councillor Peruzza. You're lucky you got an extra 5 seconds.
Oh, boy.
Councillor Grimes.
Anthony.
Okay, everyone's quiet. Councillor Grimes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Professor Miller, are you there? Oh, there. I'm Councillor Mark Grimes from Ward 6 of Etobicoke Lakeshore. My ward's probably the furthest neighbourhood from what we're talking about here. And for a student from my neighbourhood to go to York University, I think it's a 2-hour timeline now. God. Or a student coming from Scarborough along the Sheppard line to come to Humber College in my ward, it'd be well over 2 hours. What would benefit them more, a subway or an LRT in your opinion?
Sorry, you broke up. I think the question is
broke up.
From York University to...
So a student in my ward that would leave from my ward to go up to York University takes 2 hours, or a student coming from Scarborough will come down to Humber College in my ward, down at Kipping Lakeshore. What would benefit them more, an LRT or a subway?
I believe more students will benefit from the LRT because the LRT is providing frequent, high-quality service to more people. Students would have to still get Discover in the center under the subway plan to connect to the subways and get up to York. So the coverage of the LRT will be greater, providing access for more students. I might also note, also eventually, one option to connect up to University of Toronto Scarborough might exist with the Scarborough LRT, although obviously the LRT doesn't provide that at the moment.
So just to clarify, a student coming from Scarborough that lives on the Sheppard line to get down to Etobicoke Lakeshore, they'd benefit more from an LRT than a subway. Is that what you said?
Sorry, you're down by the lakeshore?
Yeah, Lakeshore and Kipling.
Okay, well, depending on the buses, you might be better connecting to Scarborough City Center in that case.
Okay. Professor Miller, you said you need to build a comparable transit network, an entire and complete network, that's what you said. Did your panel look at this?
Oh, no.
Entire and complete network for the city?
Again, you're breaking it up, unfortunately.
You said we need to build an entire, and you said we need to build an entire and complete network. Has your panel looked at that for the city, an entire and complete network?
We do need to build an entire complete network.
not what he asked.
Clearly, both the subway and the LRT will contribute in different ways to that. The judgment of the panel is the LRT, in terms of the Scarborough component, will actually provide more people a better starting point for that.
My question was, did your panel look at that? The entire and complete network, did your panel do
I
that?
think he's in the Netherlands. Ireland,
I
Netherlands.
can't hear you, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Did your panel look at the entire and complete network for the city? Did your panel look at that?
Our panel could not possibly look at it.
Okay, so you did not, okay. Do you believe-
Okay, just please answer yes or no, because it's hard. Okay. Okay.
Professor Miller, has this council looked at the entire and complete network in your expert opinion for the city?
Not for some time, no. In my
got plenty
opinion.
of preparation.
Could you stop my time?
Okay. Councillor Fletcher.
Point of order, should the questions not be on the item in front of us?
It is?
And the expert panel was to look at Sheppard.
Yes.
And how is this part of that item, Speaker?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor
Madam
Fletcher.
Speaker.
Keeping questions on that.
Thank you, Councillor Fletcher.
I
Thank you.
quoted Professor Miller, said we need to
Councillor
build,
Grimes, stick to the item, please.
Professor Miller stated we need to build an entire and complete network. That was his word. So my question, has council done this? He said no. You said you looked at all the data we could. You had no info on operating costs. You stated that you had no information on the you had no data on that, on the operating costs.
We did not have complete information on operating costs.
Okay, and then under Councillor Layton's question, you said you had life cycle costs.
I know.
What's the difference between life cycle costs and the operating costs?
There was various pieces of information, some included life cycle costs, but not operating costs split out. There's been a lot of debate about LRT versus subway operating costs, the direct comparisons of those operating costs in a complete fashion with constant assumption, with consistent assumptions across them were not available to us.
What other information, Dr. Miller, do you believe that you required that you did not have to make this decision?
So did you say what other?
Was there any other information that you felt that you needed, you did not have before you? Was there any other information that your panel required that you did not have provided to you, in your opinion?
I don't think we had, I think we were comfortable with the information we had available to us in the decision. One has to recognize the short time frame limitations placed on the panel. So we made use of all the available documents before us. New analysis could not be done.
And my last
Okay,
question.
that was your last question, sorry. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Speaker. I wonder if I could ask questions of the CFO about the financing models that are in the report. First of all, I want to say thank you very much. It's very good to finally see an analysis of the KPMG financing options. So am I correct in saying that the KPMG funding strategy, which was contained in the report that came to executive last month, still left the financing of a subway plan 26% short of financing the full cost.
That's correct.
And what is the actual dollar value of that 26% shortfall in the financing scheme for a subway?
With the lower cost estimate provided by TTIL, it would be 700 million approximately, and with the higher estimate provided by the TTC, it would be 1.7 billion.
Okay, so 1.7 million is what TTC estimates as the or the estimated cost. So a billion, sorry, 1.7 billion
Yes.
is the shortfall based on the TTC's estimated cost of the project. And that analysis, even with the